Welcome to Unit 2.3. Today we're going to talk about order of operations with powers. Order of operations is just a fancy way of saying we're going to do operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, using brackets, that sort of thing. So you've been doing operations with numbers your entire life. If you're doing 2 plus 3 equals 5, you just did an addition operation. So don't let that term confuse you. And we already know what powers are because we spent 2.1 and 2.2 dealing with that. So I think I emphasized this in the very first video to avoid getting different answers when different just basically means wrong. When we evaluate an expression, we have to use the order of operations. And I've always traditionally used BEDMAS, brackets, exponents. Then division, multiplication are kind of together. You multiply or divide left to right. And then addition, subtraction, you kind of do together from left to right. So as long as you do the brackets first, exponents second, division, multiplication third, and addition, subtraction fourth, you should be getting the right answer. So let's have a look at some simple addition and subtraction using powers. Now you have to get the powers right off the bat, otherwise you're not going to get the right answer. So this one's pretty simple. There's nothing to confuse us. There's no negative signs or brackets or anything. So 3 to the power of 3, okay, is 27. Okay, that's, if you need a reminder, it's 3 times 3. 3 times 3 times 3. Yoink. So this one's just 3 times 3 times 3. That's how we get to 27. Okay, now this one over here, I'll just keep the plus in the middle, is 2 to the power of 3, which is 8. And if you need a little reminder on that, okay, it's 2 times itself. Okay, so that there's 3 of them. 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. And then at the end, because we've done the exponents first, okay, there was no brackets, then we do exponents, and then the D is division, don't have any of that. M is multiplication, don't have any of that. Now we're down to addition. So 27 plus 38 is 35. That's your final answer. This one, there's a subtraction property, so it's we just got to be careful about that. Well, the 3 is just written as 3. It also could be written as 3 to the power of 1. It doesn't really matter. So we don't have to do anything there. It's just 3. And now we have to be careful because the exponent, the power, is just touching the 2. Okay, it's just touching the 2. It is not touching a bracket that includes the negative sign, so we're just going to put the negative sign right there, and then we're going to evaluate 2 to the power of 3, which we already did over here. It's 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. So that's important that we didn't include that negative sign in the power this time. So 3 minus 8 equals negative 5. This one here, we've got some brackets. Now, we know that the power is touching the bracket, so the power must apply to everything inside the brackets. But do we do exponents first or do we do brackets first? Well, BEDMAS says we do brackets first. So let's do the brackets. 3 plus 2 equals 5. And then all we've got left is the exponent. So brackets first, then exponents. 5 to the power of 3, remember, it's just 5 times 5 times 5. So there's 3 of them. That's 25 times 5, I assure you, is 125. Check your calculator. All right, example number 2, multiplying and dividing with powers. That example is actually on the next page. Now we're getting a bit more complex. We've got different types of brackets. We've got some negative signs. They use the old X for multiplication, which I hate because we're going to be doing some variables this year. So I'm just going to change that. To the dot. Okay, well, let's look at this. Well, it's all in brackets, so clearly we have to do everything inside the brackets first. Those brackets weren't really necessary. Inside, we've got subtraction, we've got exponents, and we've got multiplication. We know we have to do the exponents first, so I'm just going to write out what we're not touching. We're not touching 2 times 3. 2 times 3 to the power of 3. We're just not touching the 2 or the multiplication. We have to do the exponent before we do anything else. 3 to the power of 3 is 3 times 3 times 3. Right? 3 times 3 times 3. That's 27 times 3 is 81. Feel free to use your calculator. Now we have to do the second exponent. Now once again, we have to be a little careful here. This exponent is touching the 6. It's not touching negative 6. It's just touching the 6. So I'm going to leave the negative sign out there. And I'm going to do 6 to the power of 2 is just 6 times 6, right? So there's 2 of them, which we know is 36. Right? Now we have to deal with either multiplication or subtraction. BEDMAS says do the multiplication first, all right? So 2 times 81 is 162. So we're at 162 minus 36. Now you can do this on your calculator. Sometimes I just put it in the margins, right? 162 minus 36, and I trust we can all remember how to borrow. 6 to 1, 126. It's always okay to do math in the margins. And if you use your calculator, that's fine. For me, it's almost easier just to do it over here sometimes. All right, let's move on to the next question. Once again, we got negative signs, we got brackets, we got division this time, we got exponents. So we got to do BEDMAS. BEDMAS says brackets first. So we got to look what's inside these brackets, because there's only a negative 5 in this bracket. I don't really have to do anything there. But this one, there's some addition. So I have to do everything inside this bracket first. Okay, well now inside the brackets, we still have to follow BEDMAS. Inside the brackets, the next thing we would have to do is the e, which is the exponent. So we have to do 18 squared, right? Now hopefully we remember that chart from last unit, and that would be 324 plus 5 to the power 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1, so that's nice and easy. Okay, and then what is it divided by? We've got to do this exponent over here. The power of 3 is touching the bracket. That's important because everything inside the brackets now must be multiplied according to the power. So this is negative 5 times itself, right? Because we've got to take everything inside the bracket. Well, we know that our answer is going to be negative because there's 1, 2, 3 negative signs. So I might as well just put a negative sign there right now. Okay, negative 5 times negative 5 is 25, right? And then times another negative 5 is going to equal negative 125. Okay, so negative 125 is our answer there. Still got to keep going. Now we've still got brackets and then division to do. And we've actually got divide by a negative number. If it makes it easier for you to reconcile these two signs together, you could always just put that in brackets to make it a little easier. All right, so let's do what's inside the brackets first. 324 plus 1, that's pretty easy. That's 325. What did I write it to there? 325. And then divided by, I don't like writing the division symbol at this level of math. Let's just write it over top of to make it easier. Negative 125. Okay, we've got a positive number divided by a negative number. We know that it's going to be a negative, right? Uneven negative signs. Okay. The 1 is an uneven number or an odd number, so we know the answer is going to be negative 5. And then we just have to divide 325, okay, 325 by 125. Okay, and that answer is 2.6. So negative 2.6 is our answer there. Now obviously, we're going to be using this new math that we've discovered to solve problems, because otherwise it's just numbers on paper and it's utterly pointless in real life. So let's read this problem. Lynn has a square swimming pool. That's handy. 2 meters deep with side length 4. The swimming pool is joined to a circular hot tub, 1 meter deep, diameter of 2. Okay. Let's just maybe make a diagram of this in 2 dimensions instead of 3 for now. Okay, so it's something like this, and they told us some things. They told us that the square swimming pool has a length of 4, so it's 4 times 4, obviously. And they also told us that the diameter, which is all the way across, is 2. So D equals 2 meters. Okay. That is not to the power of 1, that is just a little scrap. So I'm just going to draw that there to maybe help myself a little bit. Okay, Lynn adds 690 grams. Oh, okay, so we're dealing with volume here too as well. And putting, liquids into other liquids. 690 grams of chlorine to the pool and the hot tub each week. This expression represents how much chlorine is present per 1 meter cubed of water. So that's volume. 690 grams of chlorine for that. The suggested concentration of chlorine is 20 grams per meter cubed. What is the concentration of chlorine in Lynn's pool and hot tub? Is it close to the suggested concentration? So basically we're asking, we're saying she put 690 grams into the pool and hot tub. Did she put enough in? Did you put too much in? We got to check that because that's important. You don't want to have too much chlorine in your pool and your hot tub, and that's what bleaches your hair and makes you smell and gets your eyes all red. So you got to make sure we got the right amount of chlorine. Okay, so they've given us a formula to work with. So let's just work through the formula, and we'll start with the 690 up top. So 690. Oop. 690 up top, and then let's just fill in the blanks down below and see what we have. All right, we've got 2 times 4 squared, so there's our exponent, plus pi. Pi, which we know from prior units, is 3.14, and then times 1 cubed. So there's another exponent there. Okay, now when you see a fraction like this, what you can always assume is that there's a bracket around both the numerator and the denominator. So that's something that might help you when you're determining what your order of operations is. Now, we know that we have to do everything in this brackets first before we divide 690 by whatever's down there. So let's work with the bottom, the denominator, and we know we have to work with our exponents first. So I'm just going to leave the 690. We're not going to touch that. And I'm going to leave 2 times 4 to the power of 2 is 16, so that's 4 squared, plus 3.14, can't do anything with that yet, and then we got another exponent here. 1 to the power of 3 is 1. All right, so let's just, now we've got all our numbers in place, let's just keep taking it forward. 690, and then again, let's just assume that that's all in brackets. We've got to do multiplication first. So 2 times 16 is 32, plus, and then 3.14 times 1 is just 3.14, and just keep taking our math all the way down. 690, and that's going to equal 35.14, and punch that out in our calculator. 690 divided by 35, 690 divided by 35.14 equals 19.64. And what's our unit here? Our unit is grams per meter cubed. Now let's go back and look at what the question's actually answering, or asking. The suggested concentration is 20 grams per millimeter, or meter cubed of water. What's the concentration? We figured it out, and is it close is the question. So it's not asking if it's exactly right, it's asking is it close. Well, we know that 19.6 rounds to 20, so that's awfully close. So, you know, let's do our final answer here, and always finish your problems with a sentence. It's usually worth a half mark, and it answers the question that they're asking. Yes. What's her name? Lynn? Lynn. What should we call it? Chlorine application is close to 20 grams per meter cubed of water. And just erase my little line here. And there's your final answer.